Humans, like most hominids, are rather clever. Clever enough to invent a handy invention called civilization, which aided these creatures in survival. But despite their smart nature, nearly all of them inaccurately believed they were the only species to possess such cleverness. Consequently, humans were in constant civil war with their own lonely species. But while some humans were warring, others were studying organisms to get a minor grasp on the absurdity of it all. These scientists gradually pieced together a shocking discovery of unimaginable horrors that would taint their perceptions of everything forever. It all started when an expedition of scientists found a strange aquatic creature unlike any known animal, possessing traits of both fish and mammals. Although this appearance was peculiar enough, the truly notable thing was their behavior. It could not be mistaken that these life forms were communicating through Morse code-like clicks, almost appearing to be giving orders of some kind. One of these creatures stared at the scientists' unwelcomed entrance, right before retreating elsewhere. Later, the scientists civilly discussed the matter in a lunch break, where one scientist suggested the aquatic oddities were indeed communicating. "Hogwash!" one shouted, banging her fists on the lunch table. The plates which they were eating on rattled with intensity. They were reciting nothing more than a mating call of the sorts, rivaling only with crude bird songs. The scientists brushed away the thought of an alien intelligence and resumed eating their particularly delectable sandwiches. Sometime later, another group of scientists studying these creatures noticed something else perplexing. An individual seemed to be searching the seafloor, using a sea sponge to protect its snout. Upon noticing the human, it displayed an expression recognizable as shock, as if it had just been caught doing something suspicious. It swam away as fast as it could, leaving the group to gape in awe and terror. For this meant the specimens not only could communicate, but they could use tools as well. This, and the almost suspicious behavior of these creatures, ultimately led towards the notion that these organisms were aware of the humans, and although almost absurd, could have a secret aquatic civilization. Of course, only 5% of Earth's oceans have been explored, a scientist brought up. Even an advanced civilization could be completely invisible to us, but the fact they might be trying to hide it from us is what deeply concerns me. Although some members of the scientific community were chilled by this thought, many dismissed it as a ridiculous conspiracy theory. After countless debate, a group of explorers were sent to track down and follow these creatures to see if they really would retreat to an Atlantis-like civilization right out of a fairy tale. Of course, their expectations were low, due to the lack of evidence supporting this absurd theory, and the questions of how and why they would keep it completely hidden from humankind. They merely agreed on the expedition so they could settle this ridiculous bickering over a pseudo-scientific conspiracy theory once and for all. After silently following these creatures as tracking devices for hours, the team was ready to give up. This was, of course, until they noticed the blubbery creatures entering an unremarkable opening in the seafloor. The crew, with nothing better to do, swam in. They swam through the dark tunnels, their only direction from the tracking devices they planted on the organisms. The crew members noticed a bright light, indicating the twisted tunnel was nearing its end. But upon climbing out, the researchers entered something they'd rather remain hidden. For when they exited the corridor, the poor apes stared in horror at the alien world that stood among them. It was a massive cathedral of twisted, organic towers with disgusting round openings for what one could assume as windows. These stretched to the very top of the cavern, which was covered with bioluminescent fish devoid of any fins or facial features, as if genetically modified by something. And throughout this civilization were giant marine animals of various kinds, warped in the shape of unstoppable military warfare. And thriving in this genetically modified palace of corruption were the species that led them inside. The general public knew these hyper-intelligent, militarily advanced, and humanity-ending monsters as dolphins.
So long and thanks for all the fish. So sad that it should come to this. We tried to warn you all, but oh dear.